Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I'm going to tell you why most people don't make any money. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but that doesn't mean I can't talk to my 19-year-old son about investing and explain to him, which I did this weekend, why most people don't make any money. So, this weekend, the market pulled back, okay? The market pulled back. XRP got as low as like 272 to 275-ish. The total crypto market cap came down to about 3.64 trillion. And I brought my son into my office because I was going to go in and buy, I wanted to go in and buy XRP on that dip, which I did. So when he came in my office, I said to him, I said, look at my phone. Do you see anybody calling me on my phone? I said, the market's down this weekend and nobody's calling me on my phone. I said, but do you know what happens when the market is booming and the market's up? All my friends are texting me, asking me what I think about XRP. That's the only time they're interested. And I said, son, the exact opposite is what should be true. If they were doing it right, my phone would be ringing off the hook on the down days, and not ringing off the hook to say, are you worried? If people understand what they hold, which is the first step of investing, if they understand what they hold and they've watched the markets and seen how all this works, they should be calling me to say, this is the perfect time to buy, isn't it? But they don't. And that's because 99% of the world does it the exact wrong way, which is they buy when the prices are going up and everything. And so I bought on the low, and now I'm up pretty significantly on that. So Dark Defender here is I think he was making a Squid Games reference. If you haven't watched Squid Games on Netflix, it's pretty awesome. Markets once again eliminated some players. Player 322 eliminated. The ones who only watch the markets in patience with no emotions, no stress, without doing anything are winning, while XRP is on the way to all-time high. Much respect to you, folks. The winners are the ones that are, in my opinion, what you do in when pullbacks is if you understand what you hold, which I do. What I do is buy these dips, or if I don't have money available, I do nothing. And so he's 1,000% right, and I actually retweeted it and put the Squid Games elimination sign. But what the smart money does when things are down and when things have not taken off to where they would like for it to take off, they're doing a few things. Or this is what I'm doing. It's what I've been doing. They're positioning themselves. Whether it's holding or accumulating. But maybe more importantly, not more importantly, but just as important, they're getting their XRP in the right place so that it's safe and that they are ready if they want to sell, or maybe hopefully if they want to receive yield. That's what I'm hoping. So iTrustCapital is one of my partners. You can go, these guys, I use their institutional custody. It's free through my premium custody account. They've got like a 1% trading fee, and that's the extent of it. I get free custody, and they have the liquidity available so that when it comes time, I will be able to sell. Huge. They have multiple liquidity providers. You can go to iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army. You can click on the promo code there, and you can get a $100 funding bonus for new accounts. Right now, we've got a $2.99 XRP, and I'm going to give you some perspective. So this weekend, the total crypto market cap dipped to 3.64 trillion and took XRP as low as 275. The market ticked back up and is now at 3.72 trillion with a 299 XRP. XRP had 24 cents of upward movement with 0.08 trillion increase in the total crypto market. Everyone in crypto and outside of crypto is calling for 10 plus trillion to come into the crypto over the next year or two. Do the math. Well, Norm here did the math. 10.2 trillion divided by 0.08 trillion is 125 times. He's got that at a $30 XRP with 10 trillion in the market. 10 trillion, you remember when Charles Hoskinson said
nothing's going to stop this train. Crypto's going to 10 trillion, and that's going to bulk of that's going to be in the United States of America. We got to get this done.
So he's saying it. Here's one of the more interesting things said on the topic from Raoul Paul.
This is the big one. This is your chance to make wealth. And not only can you make a bit of wealth, it's the fastest appreciating asset class in all of human history. So you can catch up really fast. So you just have to get involved and start that journey, but it will level the playing field for millions of people. So my view is it goes from a $3 trillion asset class today to 100 trillion in 10 years' time. So we're only 3% of the way there. And if you put it in different terms, that means there is $97 trillion of wealth that's going to get made.
Yeah.
People are going to make a lot of money, but it's not a few people. It's not like the tech barons or the bankers. This is like, well, Binance has 260 million customers. Now, you could live 260 million people change their lives. Okay, that's a big deal. There's 500 million crypto accounts around the world, so you can change 500 million lives. And if you speak to CZ or you speak to the others, they'll say, we want to have 1 billion people, 2 billion people. Well, if you can change 2 billion people's lives, that's a quarter of the world. So it's a very, very big deal. And also it's a big deal because people are getting access to dollars. So the stablecoin thing, I asked CZ about this. I'm like, well, what about stablecoins? He said, I didn't see how big they were going to be. He didn't realize, and most of us didn't realize, how desperate people are to own US dollars.
Yeah.
And so before, to get access to dollars, you had to have access to a big bank, and or you could get a small amount of dollars. But normal people couldn't save in it, and somebody in Southeast Asia, they couldn't get access to dollars. And now suddenly they can get it on their Binance app immediately and send it to somebody else, US dollars. That's an incredible change for people. So there's some really big things happening that really change the world for a lot of people.
Okay, now look at this. So this is Chad Steingraber, XRP Sunday, dropping to a low of 272 in a 12-hour period, revised back up nearly 20 cents, a market cap of $20 billion, fully supply, or on a mere $16 million of net inflows. Zach Rector had tweeted this out a while back in January. The $3 to $8 billion, JP Morgan's saying they think $3 to $8 billion will come into XRP ETFs alone. Okay, and Brad Garlinghouse said that he think it would be more than that. 3 to 8 billion of inflows into a spot XRP ETF that JP Morgan's predicting will make XRP market cap grow by multiples of that. 100 to 1,000 times multiplier could easily be seen on these inflows. Prepare accordingly. I mean, you saw it right there, folks. Do the math. And now here's on the Mark Fagel, who was an SEC guy on the Ripple case. This guy was asking some questions. He says Ripple has not yet dropped its cross appeal. There is a standard process the SEC must follow to approve this, which can take several months. No foot dragging, just legal requirements. It will happen soon. Judge Torres no longer has anything to do with the case. The Ripple case will be closed soon. That's not a thumbnail, but it'll be a title. XRP may be gearing up for short-term. Bitcoin Telegraph is trying to be a little honest here. XRP may be gearing up for a short-term rebound. Crypto companies are beginning to return to the United States as top officials signal a shift toward friendlier regulation and other news. Hodler's Digest. Look at this. It's happening. This is Ripple advertising at the New York Stock Exchange, I think. All right. White House. This is Bo Hines from the White House.
All right, Bo, so you've got some breaking news for us this morning. Tell us what the plan is.
Yeah, well, look, first and foremost, I just want to thank President Trump and our brilliant AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, for all the hard work that they've put in for this report and really just doing what they can to help this industry. You know, this is an industry that's been beaten down and kicked down over the course of the last decade and a half, more specifically under the Biden regime. All the blue tape that they had to fight through, the headwinds that they were pushing through just to innovate here in the United States is quite remarkable. And, you know, the president created this working group on digital assets in which I'm the executive director, and he tasked us with working across relevant agencies to produce a list of comprehensive regulations and reforms and recommendations that would create a clean and robust framework so industry knows what the rules of the road are. And, you know, this is no longer policy making through prosecution. We're creating an environment that will allow for these innovators to thrive and build here in the United States.
So can you give us more specifics about what this is going to look like and what these recommendations are?
Sure. So, you know, we've looked at this in really three phases. We've had the demolition phase, removing a lot of the blue tape that existed, eradicating Operation Choke Point 2.0, which was a real thing under the Biden regime. What this was, basically, for your viewers, was an attempt to prevent digital asset firms from interacting with traditional financial institutional players. And so what we've done is we've removed a lot of that blue tape that existed there, those overburdensome regulations. Then we work on construction, which construction here is a stable coin framework, which we've actually had signed into law in this past week with the Genius Act. You know, this is basically a digital dollar. It updates the archaic payment rails within our system. It creates more expeditious and transparent, more cost-effective transactions for the American people. And it also secures U.S. dollar global dominance for decades to come. But the other piece of legislation that we still have to work on is market structure. And we have clarity coming out of the House. You know, both of these bills received immense bipartisan support. So what you'll see in this report is we talk about the bones of market structure, everything that they got right in clarity, what we'd like to see the Senate chamber do and adopt as they push this second piece forward on the legislative agenda. Then we look at implementation. We're talking about tax reforms in this report. We're talking about how we protect consumers in this report. You know, this is over a 160-page document. It's quite robust, but, you know, we're really excited about it. And I just want to thank all the participants of the working group that contributed to this. Paul Atkins over at the SEC, Secretary Besson, Secretary Lutnick, so many folks that have done so much to propel this industry forward and make sure that the United States is the leader in digital assets.
Oh, it's exciting times. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com, the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these YouTube videos or hit subscribe on X. You can join all those ways. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.